So, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food? Injection? It's important the entire world learns of your experience.
That's enough!
The teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Houston, 20 seconds to LOS T-Dress.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
Broadcasting from the Forest Tower Studios in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Rupe, and this is Lighting the Void, your voice for verity in this crazy realm of polarity. Good evening. It is April the 24th. The night is stellar once more here in the natural state. Beautiful moon tonight, so fire up your chakras and sync both hemispheres of your brain together and shoot your magical beam of light through your third eye tonight with us as we peer into the void between spirituality and science. We are live on lightingthevoid.com in syndication with KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe.fm. We're also on TalkStream Live and all those other wonderful places. If your internet goes down, you can pick the show back up live at 701-719-3971. Just pick it up on your speakerphone. Jason Quitt joins us tonight. Yep, we're going there. Bringing a little bit more cowbell to this show and these subjects. Right here on Lighting the Void. This is what the show's all about. So I'm happy. I hope you're happy. Thank you all for your support. I've got a couple of letters in the mail with your support. Kat, thank you for the lovely message. I really do appreciate that. Because we do need it. You know, our advertisers don't fill this up all the way, so if you can help us out, that'd be wonderful. If you find anything of value from this show or the lovely Fringe FM, you can donate to the show as well. We do have some new supporters on social media, but I didn't get to get your names down, so I promise you I'll give you a shout out. I promise. I mean that. I'll give you a shout out tomorrow night. Now, speaking of tomorrow night, we're going to have another great guest on. John DeSouza, X-Man's going to be on with us. What a great doubleheader for the show this week. I can't believe this. So, yeah, Jason Quitt's what we're doing. I don't know where this is going to go. I've been all over the web. I've got his books, most of the books, and I can tell you right now, this is a conversation that I've been looking forward to. And so what I'm going to do, a favor, is I'm not going to rattle on about a couple of things. There is one thing that I do want to let you guys know, any YouTubers out there, especially for anybody that's been a past guest on my show. I don't know what subjects I talked about that got them flagged, but they did take them down, so I'm working on getting them back up. I did have I had someone file a copyright claim to me. When I did that show with a Board Camp Crystal Mine, apparently the voices of Aleister Crowley's, someone claimed a copyright on that, and I said, that's nonsense. That's on everything. Nobody owns that. And so what I did is I disputed it. And I was scared, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to dispute it, because YouTube puts this big up thing and says, hey, if you dispute this, and it's false. And it's a false dispute. We can shut your whole channel down, but I think it was just a scare tactic. So I did it anyways. Turns out I won the dispute, and I looked into these guys just in case you want to know who they are. I forget their name, actually. What is their name? What they do is they get on YouTube, and they put copyright claims on everything they can find. And what they hope is that you don't file anything against them. That way, if any of your money or your ads, or you get money from the ads and Google ads or whatever, they get it because they think no one's going to do it. Well, I did. And their name, you've probably heard them before, is Orchard Music. They decided, YouTube says, good news after reviewing your dispute. They've decided to release their copyright claim. So congratulations. Like, I'm supposed to be happy about that, man. Like, you guys did me wrong. Anyways, I kind of get upset about that. A little bit of news I thought was funny is they found out apparently the planet Uranus does smell pretty bad, and that's just not a pun. They found out the gases smell like rotten eggs there. There's all kinds of good stuff in the news, but I'm not going to do that to you tonight. I'm not going to torture you with it because we've got Jason Quitt with us, and I don't want to. I want to get out of this as much as possible, you know, because you got to, right? So, Jason, thank you for coming on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate it, man. This is going to be really cool for me. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely. So you're welcome. It's my pleasure. But you have inspired me ever since I had my first out-of-body experience, and I've been looking for answers, you know, because I would read esoteric books, and they would talk about it, but they would talk about it in a different way. Then I would read Bob Monroe and all the old, you know, the classics of out-of-body experience, and they would talk about it in their own way, but they couldn't put it together. I just couldn't put the spirit science together, and that's what I admire about you, is because you look into things, all the way into things, even all the way down to biogeometry and geometrical mandalas, the effects of crystals, and I think as far as bridging the gap between both those things, you're on the spearhead, man.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, I just kind of landed into it, I'll say. I didn't have a teacher at first, and I wasn't religious or spiritual. You know, I was just, I'll say I was a normal guy living a normal life, and all these things started to happen to me that I couldn't stop it from happening. And many people call it an awakening experience. For me, it was terrifying at first, but it was so unbelievable that these events were happening to me. Let's say like outer body experiences, or meeting different beings would come into my room and pull me out of my body. Excuse me, these events were so powerful in my life. It's like I wanted more. I had to learn. I had to know what is happening to me, because I'm sane enough to know that if I start telling people what's going on with me, they're going to think I'm crazy. So I just kind of kept it to myself and started to go down the rabbit hole trying to figure out, this is real. I know it's real. It's happening to me. And I'm going to document these experiences and where they're leading. And for me, you know, I wrote the book, Forbidden Knowledge, Revelations of a Multidimensional Time Traveler with the late Bob Mitchell. And in that book, you know, it's about 300 or so pages. I squeezed about 10, 15 years, almost, I would actually say my entire life. So I talked about things from my childhood in here, and I squeezed it into 300 pages. And there's so many of these occurrences that happened, but they never happened, you know, one after another. It was always like a big event would happen, and then there would be, let's say, a couple-month gap, and then another big event would happen. So what I did was I cut out all these little gaps, and I strung all the stories and experiences together. And it was this amazing story of not only an awakening experience, but it was a teaching. It's almost like I had to experience every step along the way of these outer body experiences to fully understand why this is happening to me and how to navigate. So, even today, I'm still having experiences. They're not as often as they were, let's say, 15 years ago. But each experience is a teaching, so I'm still learning every single time.
Well, what about the shadow beings? I got to say, before I ask you about that, because it didn't happen to me. I learned about it, and I was like, what? You can leave your body? Nah, come on, man. This ain't right. You can't do this kind of stuff. Balderdash, right? Not going to happen. But then I started reading Bob and Rose books and other books, and I was like, this really happened. This really works. So I did a few experiments. I've had some success, but it's been pretty scary and pretty limited, to be honest with you. So I'm just kind of curious that what's the difference, do you think, between people like me that can't get out of the body or just have limited experiences versus someone like you that you just got pulled into all these realms?
Yeah, and I would say that everybody has this thing called the cosmic clock. And when the stars are in alignment or when the energy comes to the planet that resonates with you, you can't stop it from happening. It's almost like something is turned on inside of you, and it will kick you into these experiences. So for some people, it may never happen their whole lives. Some people it'll happen to, but they'll brush it off as either a scary dream, a lucid dream, or a hallucination that they had, or, maybe they say, what kind of drugs, or, I'm going to lay off the alcohol. So,
right.
There's all these variations. I never knew how far I would go. Let's just put it that way. It was almost like when I first had the experiences when I was a child, it was always told to me that those experiences were just bad dreams. So if I would have a past life recall where I would see a past life, get the memories, and see how I died, and usually they were very traumatic, and, I'd run crying to my parents and say, I had this dream where I saw all this. They were just like, it's okay. It's just a bad dream. It's all right. It's just make-believe.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a child, it's very soothing. And then you're like, okay, everybody has these experiences. Everybody has these nightmares. There's always this shadow as a child that would come and visit me, and it would stand in my closet and scare the crap out of me as a child.
My goodness.
And I remember, if I told somebody I see this thing, you're just having a nightmare. So I thought, okay, I'm just a normal kid experiencing a nightmare. That's all it is. And then it just slowly went away, because I believed it was just, just a scary dream, nothing to worry about. Excuse me. But later in life, I would say around my early 20s, that's when things started to get really, really interesting. And I think what really pushed me over the edge was my health. I really believed back then that my health was declining very fast. And, my job was in advertising, marketing, graphic design, and music production. So I was literally sitting in front of a computer screen 7 days a week. And I don't know if you know the advertising world, but,
oh, yeah.
When a client calls you up, they need it yesterday.
Right, yeah.
So you're always working and trying to get things out fast. So I would basically just sit in front of a computer screen and not move for days.
Oh, my gosh. You're talking about me right now. And I'm really starting to feel bad, too, so I know what you're talking about is real.
And I couldn't, it affected my sleeping. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't exercising. So I was really getting messed up. And that's when all this stuff started to happen to me. And for me, it was like a real wake-up call, like a real smack in the head, saying that I cannot live that life anymore. It's going to kill me. And, I still notice the effects, even in the body I am currently in right now, years afterwards, that, growing up in that type of lifestyle really affected my physical health. So for me, and I think with a lot of other people, declining health is a factor in the awakening process. It's a wake-up call to say, listen, you have one foot in the physical world and you're starting to put your foot in the spiritual world, and it may not be your time yet, but we're going to show you what this spiritual world is so you don't have to fear it anymore. And I think that's the biggest factor in all these teachings and experiences, is that we absolutely fear our mortality.
Yeah.
It's what drives us in this physical world, and it makes us total jerks, is that we can't face our own mortality.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
So when we have our, I'll call them little deaths, and you yourself have experienced an outer body experience, and I'll tell you that there's very little difference between that and actually physically dying. So you are having an outer body near-death experience where you're experiencing a separation of consciousness from the physical body. And if the body is in a very weakened state, a sick state, or a traumatized state, it's very easy for you to separate your consciousness from your body. And this is why you have a ton of stories of people going into surgery or going into the hospital or having a traumatic accident, and they will see themselves hovering above their body.
You know what else, though, it makes me wonder about, Jason, is people that pass away in their sleep. Like Art Bell that just passed away.
Oh, yes. Yes, and with people that would pass away in their sleep, I would think it was a very easy transition. That would be a very, very easy transition. You'd be sleeping, and as you're being transitioned into the unseen world or the astral or the dimensional world, when you make that transition, they may just be outside of their body looking down at themselves sleeping in bed. Very peaceful way to go. And the most common experience worldwide of that experience is that they're usually greeted by family members. And, I've heard that story from countless people from around the world, is that when they have that near-death experience, their family is literally, or their past family is literally standing in the room waiting for them to welcome them into this new world or this new transition.
Well, that's definitely good to hear, because I've got stuck in a false awakening one time where I just kept waking up in the same thing, thinking that I woke up. Okay, I'm awake, try to get up, none of the lights are working, phone's not working. Okay, I'm still dreaming. And it just happened over and over again. There was a moment there where I was like, am I dead? Am I trapped in this thing? Like, did I die? And I started freaking out and trying to force myself to wake up. I know you know what I'm talking about, right?
I do. And actually, my wife had that exact same experience, and it still has affected her because, she kept waking up and she's trying to find me, and then she'll wake up again and she'll be in the same room. It's like this repeating pattern of waking up, thinking you're awake, but you're still in this dream world, it's very scary. It's almost like a loop. Like you're stuck in a loop.
Yeah, exactly. But it looked so real, though. When I woke up, it looked real. It felt real. I don't know, about smelling anything, but everything else worked, and it was so vivid. I thought I was awake. But, you know, even in that false awakening, I would say the fourth time, Jason, right before I woke up, fourth or fifth time, it's like maybe I was going between realms because it kept looking realer and realer every time, or more real. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's when I saw that figure hovering over my face, you know, and it really freaked me out, made me squinch and jerk over, you know, like my heart was pumping and everything. And I was going, God, wake up. And my eyes were shaking. I could feel my eyes shaking trying to wake up because I was so freaked out. But I don't know what that thing was. And I mean, what are all these things that just sit there and look at us? I mean, that freaks me out thinking about it right to this day.
It's very freaky. And you could also be experiencing parallel lives as well. So you can be awakening in a parallel Earth, which is virtually identical. And, you know, this is the thing about, you know, these dreams, you know, we call them dreams, is that you can wake up in a parallel reality, which has happened to me countless times. And you wake up with a different history, different memories, you know, different friends even, but it's almost the exact same environment that you're in right now. So for you to wake up in that environment is very comfortable. And when my wife had that experience, I remember there was a big solar flare that night that hit the planet. And it caused all these kind of magnetic anomalies. And I think we are triggered by astrological events, and our consciousness and our physical body is somehow, I wouldn't say somehow, it is connected to the electromagnetic fields of the Earth. So if the electromagnetic fields of the Earth go through some type of shock, let's say like a solar flare hits and the electromagnetic field starts to vary, it could resonate your electromagnetic fields in your consciousness to jump different timelines, to have different dimensional experiences. Now, can you describe the being that you saw?
Absolutely. I was laying on the couch, and when I opened my eyes to say, okay, I'm awake, I saw a little kind of a black hood. Like if I looked up with my eyes towards my forehead, I could see the shape of a black hood, right? And so I stretched my neck to look higher, you know, and I saw like this palish, almost like clown makeup pale, and maybe some light blue around the eyes. And I've just never seen anything like that unless someone was wearing a mask. It's not natural. And as soon as I saw it, I didn't want to see any more of it. And I just jerked my head to the right as far as I could. And was saying even names that, you know, I was even saying Jesus and all kinds of names because I was so freaked out that when I was taught when I was a kid, you know, whatever it'll take to get it to go away. And when it went away, I could, you know, I didn't say this part, but I could feel it move. When it did go away, it was like when you're caught in slow-mo. But I wasn't moving, but it was. But I felt it move that way, like a slow tape reel. And then I woke up, and that's when I really did wake up.
Wow. You know, like a lot of these beings, it's almost like they're helping us awaken. And, you know, it could be very scary and very traumatizing, but they're showing us that we're multidimensional. They may not be doing it in the best way, but, you know, like even the really, really terrifying experiences that I've had, I wouldn't trade it for the world, to tell you the truth, because it opened me up and showed me things that I would never, ever see. So I've seen the hooded beings. I've never seen their face like you described. Mm-hmm. And I think that these beings are somehow connected to us, somehow connected to our consciousness, and they're there to assist in different developmental stages. And for us, you know, our belief systems are so, you know, we've been brainwashed for I don't know how many thousands of years. But, you know, I told you I wasn't religious or wasn't spiritual, but when these things started to happen to me, I started praying real fast. I started calling out any name I could think of.
Yeah, because it's freaky,
to make
man.
these. Of course. And a lot of people are saying, I want to be like you. I want to leave my body. I want to experience these things. And I always have to caution people that, this stuff can be dangerous, can be very terrifying, and psychologically, it may not help the way you see the world.
That's for sure.
It's a real slap in the face.
Yeah,
it's a real slap in the face.
That's for sure. It'll mess up a paradigm real quick. But yeah, it's like a horror film, but it's kind of cool at the same time when it first happens. But I was thinking the last question before we, take our first break, I wanted to ask you before we move on into some other stuff here is, because I got to ask you, the audience probably tired of me asking, but I'm going to ask you, the second time I had an experience, I was actually trying to come out of my body and I got very frustrated because I kept, I was listening to a William Buellman tape. And I got to the point of vibration. It kind of feels like the vibration when, your arm goes to sleep, but more intense. But it was all over my body. And then I just kind of sat up, and then something was stopping me. And I started kind of like it felt like I was headbutting my outer shell. I know that sounds weird. And then I made I said, I want to command myself to come out of my body. So I made some kind of commandment. And I said, I command you to release me by life and light, right? But it sounded like James Earl Jones when I said it. And this, it was so weird. It didn't even sound like me. And this blob from the ceiling, which I think is just another shadow being, it kind of looked like, if I could describe it, it looked like a Rorschach picture maybe, that the psychologists use. And it just as soon as I started coming out, this thing just smothered me and pushed me back in, and I woke up. What was that?
Yeah, I would say it's not your time. And this also goes to the warnings about leaving your body. Because I would say every person carries things within them that are dangerous. Call it traumas, emotions, mental things. And when you leave your body, those things manifest and call things towards you. So whatever you resonate with, whatever you're holding on to, you're going to attract different things towards you. So when I used to leave my body, I would always come back with attachments. So I would, let's say, go to the shaman, and they would look at me and they said, "What did you do last night?" And I said, "Well, I left my body." I said, "I know there's this astral being now like half in your body trying to get in you." So then they have to do an extraction and remove these things. So this kind of gets into this religion type information on, let's say, demonology, where these beings that are not so friendly, they try very, very hard to connect with us and to get in our bodies or manipulate us in certain ways. And if you're not ready to come out of the body, you have certain protections around you. Let's say these shadow beings or these multidimensional beings, or even your higher self or guides or angels, whatever you want to call them, they will stop you from leaving your body at a certain time because it may be very bad for your health to do so.
That makes sense. And when you were saying that the first time, I started thinking maybe that's what it was. Maybe they were preventing me from doing that, because the couple times I did it, I've not stopped thinking about it ever since then, and it's been constantly on my mind. But we're going to get into what you just talked about as far as beings entering your body, and then move on into your work. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Jason Quitt. We're going to go down the rabbit hole just a little bit more right after these words.
Hey Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Wouldn't you love to have a really sharp memory? More than ever before, people of all ages are struggling with memory problems and brain fog. Whether your poor memory is age-related or due to the effects of chronic stress, you can now improve your memory while reducing stress with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. That's right, you get 2 products rolled into one. Some ingredients in Calm and Clever enhance memory and help retain newly learned information more effectively, while other ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce stress by maintaining healthy levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Calm and Clever was created by scientist Kurt Hendricks, a principal investigator in 2 NIH-funded studies on Alzheimer's disease. To sharpen your mind and feel calm and centered, try Calm and Clever for 2 months. You'll love the way you feel and think. To order Calm and Clever, call 1-800-728-9948 or visit calmandclever.com. 1-800-728-9948 or calmandclever.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio with Joseph Rupe. Stay up to date right now, lightingthevoid.com.
This is Mark Eddy. If Pluto is your high school history teacher, Project Compass will point you in the direction of the truth.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Irma, forget it, he's rolling.
Each Monday night from 10 to midnight Eastern, we will bring enthralling guests to delve into the hidden history you weren't taught.
This could be the greatest night of our lives.
Join us on the Fringe.fm or in the Spreaker chat.
Oh, we're afraid to go with you, Pluto. We might get in trouble.
Follow us on Twitter at Project Compass or email us at projectcompass.show@gmail.com.
I think this situation absolutely requires really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part. We're just the guys to do it.
Class is in session with Project Compass right here on the Fringe FM.
Don't feed the Archons. Feed ducks instead. And listen to Shift Happens on the Fringe FM. Fridays, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Cortana out. Quack.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Come own the night with us. Hi there, this is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every Monday through Friday, right here on KTLK, the Fringe FM, I'm going to lead you down a path of mystery, intrigue, and suspense. So whether you've seen a UFO, had a run-in with Bigfoot or Dogman, or had ghosts running around your house, this is the place to be. Spaced Out Radio, right here on KTLK.
Oh, you know what I like about me? This is Rich Giordano, host of The Paranormal Code. No, I'm serious. The show's on twice a week now, Sunday and Thursday, on the Fringe.fm and Spreaker, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Yeah, it's 2 hours. It's live. And I do a show like you've never heard before. So you're going to come here, you're going to get your information, you're going to be entertained. But you're also going to hear the truth like, you know, you won't forget. Like you've never heard before. And for those of you who've been following, thank you. Thank you for talking me into this extra night. Now I'm on twice. Great. Hey, good for you, right? The paranormal code. This means something.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Rupe. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're live on the Fringe FM. I'm your host, Joe Rupe. Don't forget, tomorrow night, John DeSouza, X-Man's going to be on. And Saturday, on Spaced Out Saturday, we're going to be speaking to Mike Vera. That's going to be interesting. Good week for all the shows this week, so make sure you come hang out with us. And we're probably not going to open up the phones just because this conversation's getting a little deep, and I know that's a lie. We're not going to open up the phones because the conversation is going to get deep, but we're not going to open up the phones because I didn't pay for my Canadian dollar on Skype, so I had to use the call-in number to call Jason. So if you do call in and it's busy, I'm sorry, but, you know, it is what it is. Jason, thanks for joining us on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate it, man. You were just talking about, you know, who's ready and who's not ready. Certain people can get in and out of the body, other people can't. And you brought up a subject about you know, these beings entering people. When you say that, do you mean in their sleep or in the actual, like I'm standing here and a being just tries to enter me kind of thing?
Oh, it could be waking or sleeping. And this happens all the time, especially people that are open. It still happens to me, you know, so I'm not immune to this, but I know how to handle it. In fact, I'll just tell you a quick story because it just happened to me a couple weeks ago when I was in Tokyo. I was staying with a couple friends of mine in their place. Excuse me. And we were shopping that day. We went to different districts in Tokyo and we were shopping for things, and there was lots of people, and then we went out for dinner. And when we all sat together at dinner, everybody was looking at each other and we're like, we all felt off. We all felt that there was something wrong. Like we had anxiety, our hearts were pounding, like there was something wrong. And we were all, I would say all of us at the table were pretty psychic. And that night we all went back to the same place. We all went to sleep. And that night, there was like an entity that was in our dreams, and it was in all of our dreams. So we all basically had the same dream, and in the dream, it was like this entity took the form of a family member, and they were trying to physically assault us, and they were trying to hit us or do something to us. And so I would have to pop out of the dream, pop out of my body, and there would be an entity in the room, and I'd have to deal with it and get rid of it. And then that morning when we woke up, we met everybody in the kitchen, and I walked into the kitchen and I said, well, we brought home an entity last night. And everybody was just looking around there. They said, wait, tell me that you dreamt last night. And we all had very, very similar dreams about a family member coming to us, trying to assault us. And even they, in their dreams, were screaming, get out of here, you're not welcome, go away. So all of us knew that we brought some being, some entity home with us just by going out and wandering around the city.
You do realize that is the opening to the next horror film. That's what it should be. I mean, think about it. That's a perfect story set up. I know that's real, though, because I've had that happen to me and a couple of hosts of mine where we all had dreams the same night about us, but it was about us doing things that we would never do. And everybody, and three of a host of mine were like, I can't believe that you just said that. And I don't know, do you think that maybe that someone, I know this sounds crazy, but someone could be like psychically attacking people? Do you believe in that?
Yes. Oh, yes. That is a very real scenario. In fact, I don't want to, it's hard for me to say this, but there are assholes out there. Could I say that? There are people out there that are purposely, doing things to people. And there are still sorcerers. There are still people out there that are doing psychic attacks on people. And people don't even know how powerful they are, because if you're thinking of a person and you're putting anger and hate and visions of, what you want to do to that person, you're actually sending that energy to that person. You're actually hurting them energetically. So even a person that has no background in any of this stuff, just the fact that they could fantasize about doing something bad to somebody, they're actually sending and attacking them psychically.
Right. And
but there are professionals out there. And when it comes to professionals, you really have to, I would say, be at a level where you're strong enough to handle it. And a lot of the times you need extra help, and that's why, you go to different shamans or different people that can help you. And in fact, the shaman that I've been learning with for many years, he was actually trained as a sorcerer first. And the reason they train the shamans as a sorcerer first is because they have to know how to undo that type of work to enter into a healing state. So it's like, if you have no background or don't know anything about sorcery or how to attack somebody, how can you possibly help somebody that's being attacked?
Well, I got my extensive training in, I would say, Western ceremonial magic. And I don't know how extensive it was, but, I got into it because I couldn't believe, actually, the astral travel stuff's what got me into it, because I couldn't believe this stuff was real. And I kind of wanted to talk to you about that a little bit, that magic is real, but I don't think that we understand why it's real, and I know you go into that quite a bit. At least you try to explain it in a way, because I always talk about this, Jason. The subconscious seems to me like it's the doorway to communicate with spirit. Now, I don't know about energy as well as you do, but I do know that certain signs and sigils and things like that, when once tapped into the subconscious, have a lot of power.
Yes. And the thing that you were just talking about is that we have been taught that there isn't an unseen world around us. So we live with our minds completely cut off from the unseen worlds or the dimensional worlds around us. And that is a very, very big mistake. So we have, or as we're living in this world, we are communicating or exchanging energy between this world, the three-dimensional world, and the unseen world, like the astral or multidimensional worlds. And there is many beings and energies and consciousnesses in the unseen world. And because we're so blind and unaware, we don't realize that we're affecting their world. And we're just walking through this world almost like we're bulldozing it over, or spraying stuff in the atmosphere, or dumping waste in the waters. That has consequences, and it affects not just this world, but other worlds and other beings. So we walk blindly on this earth, doing whatever we want, and then we start crying when some astral being starts messing with us, or some spiritual energy starts messing with us. It's not because excuse me, it's because we're blind. So they're kind of slapping us saying, do you understand what you're doing? Do you understand that the way you're living your life is affecting us and affecting this world?
Right.
So that's the first thing we have to understand, is that we have to take responsibility to understand that we share this world in a multidimensional space. And the things we do here will affect things in multiple worlds. And that's a very huge subject for just a common person to grasp. You know, to even think that your emotions, for example, could have consequences in another world, so that your thoughts could actually hurt something in another dimension. So we really need to watch ourselves and how we operate. This air conditioning is making me cough. I'm very sorry about this.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I got the same thing. I get this right before the beginning of spring, and then right when everything turns back. So it's all good. But, you know, sometimes I wonder about that, because honestly, Jason, I've tried that life where, you know, listen, I'm just going to be this positive guy all the time, no matter what. Happy go sunshine, up early in the morning, positive, positive, positive. I couldn't stand myself. I couldn't stand myself. I couldn't stand to be around myself. So what I'm asking you is that other side, that negative polarity that's in this universe, I mean, it has its, I guess you could say, its job, but it's not something that we should dwell on or focus on, right?
That's right. And I would say that we use those sides. I mean, when I first started to leave my body, or when I first started to get attacked by these beings, I was pissed. I was so angry. I was upset. I had fear. I had all these emotions that, you know, these New Agers would call, you know, low vibrational emotions. But you need those emotions and you need those thoughts, because that's your survival mechanism. If you didn't have fear, the human race would be dead very quickly.
That's a fact.
It's a fact. It's a survival mechanism. And we needed those survival mechanisms to live in the jungle, to live in the forest, to live in the fields. You know, when we were nomads, when we were, you know, built for a natural life in the earth environment, when that sun went down, you better have fear, because that's when all the predators come out. And if you don't have that fear about you, a predator is going to kill you. And that's just life. That's just life in the jungle. It's life on planet Earth. And now that we've created, the concrete jungle, and we live in 4 walls, basically, and we're protected, we still have these fears. We still have these emotions that keep us alive, but our predators are changing. So now we don't have to be afraid of a lion coming and grabbing us in our sleep, you know, but, sorry, it keeps us alive. And we do live in a polarity universe. And I've been going back and forth this whole time, because, you know, you have 2 very different thoughts. You have a thought where, you know, the world should be perfect and everything should be positive. And if that was the case, life would be stagnant. There would be no growth whatsoever. And society would basically fall and collapse very, very quickly. Now, when you have conflict, when you have all these negative things that are out there, and the world is definitely not a perfect place. You know, we could just turn on the news and see what's happening in this world, and we may know people and places where bad things happen all the time. You know, it's that type of conflict that actually pushes us to evolve. It pushes us to grow, and it pushes us to experience. And I think that is the purpose of having this polarity universe, is that it keeps things in constant movement in a forward momentum.
Keeps the pressure on in the boiling pot, right? So it keeps the pressure on so you can grow. I get that. And I've had people that leaders of, I guess you could say, modern day mystery schools tell me the same thing, but it doesn't, it's not fun once you realize that all these things you're doing to yourself, because before you could just play innocent, but I'm just curious how deep this all is mind concept actually goes. I mean, I'm in this physical body, Jason, and I know how to control it, but when it comes to everything in the universe and all the things it's made up of, and the person that's standing in front of me, even this computer monitor that I'm looking at, am I really just, is this just an illusion? Is this a hologram?
In some perceptions, it is. And the physical universe that we experience is a dimension, the plane of existence. And in this dimension, light vibrates at a certain wavelength, and that wavelength of light holds the physical dimension in time and space. So our physical manifestation, our physical bodies, is just made up of light. But it's a light moving at a certain vibrational frequency that gives us the illusion of physicality and being solid. Now, if you go to a physicist and you say, what is matter made up of, or even a biologist, when they look at matter, we all know this, they teach us this in science class, that all matter is basically 99.9999% space. So what are we actually looking at? It's just a different vibrational nature. That's all this is in this dimensional state. So this universe, this third dimensional universe, has very specific laws, and they're vibrational laws. So if you can shift your awareness into other altered states of consciousness, you can see this world as a hologram, as light. And you can manipulate it, you can change it with your thoughts or your emotions, or, higher faculties that come in altered states of consciousness or outer body or multidimensional states.
Which is essentially what we've called magic, just because it doesn't really compute. We don't think that's real at all.
See, our definition of magic now is, someone pulling a rabbit out of a hat, or a card trick. We're being fooled, or sleight of hand. But in ancient Egypt, for example, magic was called heka, and he is the use or the action. That's what he means. And ka is energy or life force. But magic was the use or action of life force. And that's what their definition of magic was. And they believed every act of human existence was an act of heka, an act of magic. And that was...
Oh, wow. I just lost Jason. That sucks. All right, I'll try to get Jason back. We're going to take a break. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. That was weird.
This is Preston Dennett from PrestonDennett.weebly.com, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
35 million people in the United States suffer with debilitating migraines. If you or a loved one are one of them, you need to know about MigraLief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist that formulated and patented the MigraLief migraine formula. MigraLief is a non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Try MigraLief for 3 months and see the powerful difference it can make in your life, or get your money back, no questions asked. Go to MIG911.com or call 800-MIG-7354. You can change your life today.
So if you suffer from migraines, don't wait. Call 800-MIG-7354. That's 800-MIG-7354 or visit MIG911.com.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
What can I say about the most popular tea on the internet? And what do customers say about Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? A lot. But by federal law, we at GetTheTea.com cannot make claims to how this product can enhance your health. We cannot even post our testimonies without being in compliance. So how do we get past the hump? Try our products at GetTheTea.com and see for yourself. You can send us a testimony, but we just can't post it. Bummer. Our products are GMO-free and organic. We pride ourselves in being the best we can be, and we urge you to take charge of your health. We're 11 years strong, and many of our customers have shared their successes with friends and family. Protect your colon. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com.
Tired of talking about the weather? No shift. Well, Shift Happens is here to fulfill your desires as you reach that point in life where you crave tantalizing conversation about reality, ufology, the occult, and the conspiracies within, while simultaneously finding yourself desperately in need of your very own theme music, which we've got plenty of that too. So be sure to tune in to Shift Happens every Friday night from 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on the Fringe FM. Because the weather sucks, and you need some theme music.
Hey Fringe FM listeners, guess what? TalkStream Live has just released a new paranormal app exclusively for the paranormal community called Paranormal Radio. Paranormal Radio has a great selection of streaming talk shows dealing with UFOs, the supernatural, sacred geometry, NDEs, and much more, including a network highly recommended, The Fringe FM. You can download Paranormal Radio right now from Google Play and the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this check is wrong. I worked a holiday and 7 hours of overtime. Not getting paid correctly is a real pain. It could also hurt our boss if our company provides out-of-compliance checks. That's right, construction companies doing business with the government can get fined, or officials of the companies can go to jail if the checks aren't right. It's a law. The Davis-Bacon Act has 30 compliance issues for every check, but there is an easy way for construction companies to be in compliance. EMARS offers Compliant Client, a web-based system that finds and corrects all 30 of the possible out-of-compliance check issues. Users of Compliant Client report an 80% savings in time and money. Running a weekly payroll usually takes about 5 minutes. All 15,000 plus clients of EMARS have never had a legal compliance issue. Plus, they sleep better on check day. Contact EMARS at emarsinc.com or call 480-595-0466.
This is Lighting the Void Radio with your host, Joseph Rupe. It's the show about truth-seeking and freeing the spirit, shattering your limited beliefs, revealing hidden truths, and much, much more.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Rupe. Yeah, that was crazy. Right when Jason started talking about the ancient Egyptian teachings of Hek, I guess it was Hek and then Ha, and I've heard this before, the phone cuts out, drops him. And I'm not one of those guys to say every time the internet drops off, something's causing an interference, but that felt a little weird. Energy is crazy. Speaking of which, Jason, I'm glad that we got you back here. I wanted to talk to you about that because, sorry, I'm having to clear my throat too. I'm thinking I need to do more energetic work because I don't really do that much. I looked into like biogeometry and things like that, sacred geometry, but I've never really practiced it like you have, like Qigong and all the things that you've done. How much has that helped you heal your health? I mean, in reality, like on a, I guess, 1 to 10 level?
I would say 10, actually. Basically, when I first started to leave my body and I first started to communicate with these beings, they would constantly tell me that I needed to heal myself. That was the biggest message I received was, I'm not ready, I need more healing. And from there, I was led into Qigong. And I started to do a Chinese style of Qigong called Qilao, Qigong. And I practiced that for about 2 or 3 years steady. Like I really, really practiced it every single day. And it took about a year of practice before I could even feel anything. But it was these practices that really put me on a new path. And I felt that once I started to feel energy, and like I said, it took about a year to feel it. Once I started to feel the energy, it was like this new ability opened up where energy wasn't just a concept anymore. It was physical to me. I could literally feel energy moving through my hands. I could feel energy moving through my body, and I could sense what's going on in my environment around me and what's going on inside my body. So it wasn't a concept anymore. It was a physical reality just activated. And now I have this new reality of energy within me. And once I started to go down that road, my abilities started to really open up. So Qigong really started to open me up to this unseen world. And I started to get very, very sensitive. So, for example, if a being were to enter my room, I would actually feel or have this kind of precognition that something is going to enter my room now. And what I would do is I'd pop out of my body, and then they would enter. So it's almost like I became this awakened spirit living in a physical body where if anything was going to come and visit me at night, negative or positive, I would actually sense that something was going to happen, and then I would actually prepare myself and leave my body to meet whatever that thing was that was going to come into that space. And from there, that's what led me really on this journey into knowing about sacred geometry, for example. And I know, we've sort of touched on it a little, but when I first started doing this type of work and doing my training with different medicine men and women, and I would do healings on people. At the very beginning, people that were very gifted and psychic, at the end of their sessions with me, they started to say very similar things to me. They started to say, I've never experienced that type of healing before, and I saw these sigils. I saw these geometric spinning geometries come out of your body and go into my body, and I could feel it shift me energetically. That's a very odd thing to say. I've never really heard that before. And more people started to say that to me. And I remember I was at a gathering. There was a shaman who was speaking in my hometown, and I was standing there, and this lady walks up to me. I have never met this lady before. She looks at me and she says, your energetic field is very unique. Where are you from? And it's a very strange question. And I said, oh, I'm from Toronto. They go, no. Energetically, where are you from? And I don't have an answer. I didn't know any information like that. So I asked this lady, I said, because you could see my energy field, what does it look like? And she says, your energy field is actually very geometric, and it has these geometric sigils coming in and out of your body. And, you know, when random people start telling you the same thing that people are telling you when you're doing healings, you know, there's got to be a synchronicity there. There's got to be something that people are trying to get something to you, some information to you. So I started to look into sacred geometry because all these people were telling me that sacred geometry was coming out of my energy field. And I actually got a chance to see it with my own eyes once, actually more than once. But the first time it happened, I left my body, and it was during an eclipse, actually. And like I said, when there's Earth events, astronomical events, you could have some pretty intense spiritual experiences.
Was it the latest
I left
eclipse?
my body.
The one that happened?
No.
Okay.
This was I think this was 2011 or 2010. I think this is when this happened. It was a time in December when I think we had like a supermoon and an eclipse basically in the same month. It was a very strange thing. But I left my body, actually, and I went up on the roof of my house to watch the supermoon eclipse. And I was watching the moon outside of my body, and the moon turned into a portal. And so the moon just went black, and then I saw a vortex, and it turned into a portal. And it looked like laser beams. These laser beam grids of geometry came out of this portal onto the planet, and it hit me, and then I saw all these grids of, it literally looked like laser beams. This grid of laser beams in geometric forms started to go through my body and outside of my body. And it was like the most amazing experience because I could literally see this grid around my energy field.
Wow.
And
most people got to take dimethyltryptamine to do that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you know, no, drug free. So there you go.
Yeah,
so you can have these experiences.
Yeah, if you can do it naturally, you're doing something great.
Exactly, and this actually, there was this one experience. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but
sure.
There's this one experience where I'm in my bed at night, and this being enters the room and throws like an energetic net around me, and they literally pulled me out of the bed. So I get pulled out of the bed. I'm being dragged on the floor in this net, and this big being, it just looked like this big shadow is pulling me, taking me somewhere. And I was completely frozen. I couldn't move. I was like stuck in this thing. And I just said, no, this is not happening. And when I said stop, suddenly it stopped. And then I was still frozen. And then I said, I'm not frozen anymore. And then it was like pure out of the Matrix. I wasn't frozen anymore. And then when I realized that I was in control of the situation, suddenly that grid that I saw on that eclipse exploded out of me again. And I could see this grid, this laser geometric grid around me. And when this laser grid around me activated, that net, whatever this thing put over me, was vaporized, and whatever being that was, it was vaporized in an instant just by activating this grid around the body.
How do you function in the world right now? I'm telling you right now, Jason, if this stuff happened to me, I would be in bed all the time or trying to meditate my way. I wouldn't even function. That's probably why they don't let me do it.
Well, I'm married.
Well, yeah, you got to answer.
I'm married.
Yeah,
I have
I get
responsibility. And, it's very strange. It's like, many people meditate or do drugs or do something to try to get these type of experiences. With me, they were just happening naturally, and I never had to actually do anything to get in that state of being. It was just natural. But for me, a lot of the messages I received outside of my body is, you need to master the physical worlds and learn what it's like to be physical. So that's my greatest teaching, is trying to master the physical worlds and try to learn about this. So it's almost like the opposite experience that a lot of people are having. They're trying very hard to be spiritual. I'm trying very hard to be physical and live a normal life.
Yeah, but you know what? I've wondered about that, Jason. I've wondered, like, if this was just maybe a training ground, because we're in our own fishbowl. We've got to learn how to deal with all these different personalities and all these different parameters. And not only that, our emotions and everything else. And it seems impossible. But, over time we adapt and we get good at it. We learn lessons as we get older. And then we reincarnate and hopefully we get better and better. It's like we're being trained for something.
Exactly. And this is a very ancient teaching as well, is that, even, I want to say the Egyptians and hope they don't cut off the phone again. But, the Egyptians, they believed very strongly in the afterlife, and it was all about the weighing of the heart. And it's like, if your heart was filled with truth,
be light as
you
a
can
feather.
leave. That's right. You can leave. You can go on, and now you have choices. You can either come back to Earth representing the gods, or you can stay up there as the gods. And, this is not like Olympus and Zeus and all these things. The concepts of the gods were very different. It was like, you're going to become a star in the heavens. You're going to be part of the light that feeds all creation. And that's basically what we are anyways. But here, it has to do with what we carry. So, like I said, if we're carrying things that are not good, it's very difficult for us to leave our body because we'll attract things that could harm us, like you said earlier.
Well, yeah,
So
I worry about those things too. I mean, Robert Monroe had things attached to him that he had to the horrifying part in his books where he had to literally fight off these things that were attaching to him like glue. And what was weird is, he got knockout, drag out fights with things in the astral realm. But when he calmed down and asked for help, that's when everything went away. Things would come and assist him and started helping him.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing you said there is calm.
Yeah, the more he struggled, it got worse on him.
Exactly. And that's what I found too, is that once you leave your body, so once you've, let's say, got baptized into the world of spirit, and I think that's the true meaning of baptism, is going into the other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But once you leave and you've you've been baptized into the world of spirit, you are under attack, because these things, whatever they are, they don't want you to be awake. That's just how I experienced it. And you're basically fighting your way now. So once you're out, now you're fighting, because these things are trying to grab at you or push you out of your body or attach to you, manipulate you, put thoughts in you, put emotions in you, even put memories in you. It can get really nasty. And you have to, this is where, the spiritual practices are so important, because you have to learn how to separate all of this stuff and try to figure out what's you and what's not you. And that's the difficult thing. So what is your thought and what is not your thought? How do you define that? What's your emotion and what's not your emotion? And once you start to look at these things very finely, then it's almost like you step out of this physical world and you kind of decide, no, I'm not carrying that. It's not mine. I'm going to let that go. And when you do that, these beings will go as well. And sometimes they'll kick and scream. And what I've learned is that, sure, you could invoke and call on different beings and masters to help you, but they're not going to be there all the time, because that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to learn how to strengthen your own consciousness and your own energy so that you become that master and you don't need to call on anybody else, and you could handle the situation very easily. And that's, I would say, the whole point of this training is like, first you start holding their hands, and they're taking you through these worlds like a child, and then they leave you. And now it's like you're very sad, and where did all these masters go? And you realize that you have to stand on your own 2 feet and figure out how to deal with these things that are coming at you. And that's the most important thing of this journey for me, is learning how to stand on my own 2 feet and deal with these situations.
So everything we think, do, or say pretty much reflects in that realm. And we can't get away from it. I think this is why, like you talk about, people get into obsessions or drugs. I mean, look at the opium epidemic in this country, the opioid and Xanax epidemic in this country. Those things have their purpose for the right times, but there's more people now than ever that are having to take this stuff just to even function.
It's true, and it's very well. Let's step back just one little bit, because we have to figure out, why do we have obsessions? Why do we have addictions? And it's because these substances are energy. Alcohol is an energy. Tobacco is an energy. It's a spirit. And if you're closed up, if there's something wrong with you, and you're not getting the natural flow of energy from the universe or from the natural surroundings of the earth, if you're not taking in that natural life force, you're going to look for other sources. So for example, the opioids, tobacco, anything, even food, it becomes an obsession and an addiction, and it becomes a lifeline of energy to the person who's struggling to get energy to survive. So you can't just simply take away the opioids. You can't simply take away the alcohol or the tobacco, because it could really damage the person, because they're grasping for energy. So what you need to do is you need to, through, let's say, spiritual practices, start to heal and open their energy system back up so that they can start feeding their energy system with the natural flows that are all around us. And once they start getting connected to that and opening up to that energy source, they're going to naturally stop with the addictions and the obsessions, because the energy sources of the natural world is much cleaner and better. So it's much easier for them to get off those other substances.
That makes total sense, because I struggled with that in my early 20s. And when you say they're your energy, you're not playing, because when you don't have it, you're nothing, and it's very hard to get over that stuff. Most people don't. I'm surprised I did. I don't really talk about it that much on the show, but I had to go through that myself. It was terrible. I wanted to ask you another question before, unless you got something else that you wanted to say about that, but I wanted to ask about these beings that you're talking about. There's a lot of narratives going on right now about beings and, federations and intergalactic federations. I just talked to the last person I had on my show about that was Len Caston. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but kind of opened up my eyes. Yeah, good friend was Len. Yeah, I got his book, and he really opened up my eyes, but all the information that he talked about, it was so detailed. I'm thinking, how could you know this stuff unless you've actually met these? And this is not the same story as I would say other people are telling, so I'm kind of confused about who's the good or bad guys here.
Are you talking about his book, what is it, New Alien Order?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, he got that from a number of different sources. And the beautiful thing about Len is he's a very good researcher, by the way, and he will read all the information from, let's say, 5 different individuals that have no connection, but they're telling a very similar story. So what he does is he takes all 5 stories and puts them together to make this beautiful, epic story that makes so much more sense than just the pieces from each person. So he is a really good researcher in that respect. Now, I actually read the book before he released it. In fact, I have a review in his book for New Alien Order, and I've actually received similar information, outer body, about these different groups, but for me, this is like ancient history almost. It's something that is very dark. If you read his book, it's very heavy, very, very heavy information.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not. And it was heavy. Sorry.
It's definitely heavy. So for me, and I've always kind of thought, what's the point of having all this information? What's the point of being here on this planet and going through these awakening experiences? And even who are we? And there's this one theory that I'm kind of going through in my head, and I think this is the first time I'm saying this anywhere, is that human beings are a created species for the sole purpose of healing the karmic wounds of these ancient galactic wars, and that it was decided to create this universal being, this universal human, and all these warring races that Len talks about. It was decided that they would all be incarnated here on one planet. So you have all these different species from all over the galaxy incarnating on this one planet in the human form in almost like an isolation tank, so that we can work out our karma, so we can put an end to this very, very old karmic history of this galactic war and species.
Yeah, it was incredible. Before I admitted it to him on the show, before this thing, I was deep into spirituality, and I love science and spirituality, but I don't know, man. The reptilian thing, the blue beings, and all these different aliens and stuff. To me, it's always been like, yeah, right. But that's my head telling me that it's not real based on my paradigm, right? But I read his book. I got to dig in this a little bit deeper. I don't have the answers, but I definitely know for sure there is something out there that's trying to stop us, and it's like you say, it's industrialized.
Yes, and in Len's book, he did end it in a very, very positive way. Thank God.
Right, it was pretty dim.
He ended it in a very positive way, but it all goes back to these ancient teachers of the masters, or teachings of the masters, which is basically you have to heal yourself, you have to master yourself, and then none of this history, none of these races, none of this stuff that we're talking about in the UFO community, none of this matters. It's not important, because the only thing that's important is the evolution of your soul and your consciousness, and it's by healing and learning to take your power back that's the answer of release or ascension, or whatever you want to call that goal of human experience.
That makes sense. I believe that too. Now that I do, now I've opened up this door, and a lot of people are like, really? You're just now opening up this door to all these different races and stuff. And yeah, I guess I don't want to go down that road myself either, but I'd like to know. I've always thought knowing is better than just taking somebody's word for something. And I'll never forget, I believe it was, I don't know if it was the first time you were on Jimmy Church's show or the second time, but you said, I'm not a researcher. I don't research things. I'm just telling you what I know because these things happen to me. And that really hit home with me, because that's the whole reason why I'm on this show.
Wow, thank you. And it's completely true. And like I said, it's good to be informed. It's good to know these things, but it's also a trap. And you can get caught in these nets of, galactic alliances or galactic federations or Pleiadians or Blue Avians. All these things are nets that just grab your consciousness and hold you in that space. And whatever you put your attention on, you're giving your life force. That's the secret. Whatever you believe, whatever you're looking at and obsessing over, or researching even, you're giving your life force to it. So, for example, if there's someone who's just totally obsessed with researching reptilians, you're giving your life force to reptilian energy. That's just the way the laws of the universe work.
Right.
So just that's why it's good to be informed and know these subjects, know these histories, but don't attach yourself to them, because your path is your own, and the only answers that are important to you are the answers that are within you. And I know that sounds very Jedi and but it's the truth. It
Gotcha.
Really is the truth, that none of that stuff matters to your personal evolution.
Gotcha. We're going to take our last break here. I'm going to get into that a little bit more about the life force and ask Jason a few more questions about that. I think that's a pretty important message right now. And then we'll take your questions in the chat room as well. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
Greetings, I'm Space Boy. I started writing music at an early age, inspired by such synth stylings of the Pet Shop Boys, Erasure, Kraftwerk, Art of Noise, and 8-Bit. I have crafted my work into a hybrid of synth pop with modern electronica rock music of today, with pounding beats, high-energy arpeggios, soothing orchestral movements, and rock and roll! Space Boy will surely be a part of anyone's music collection, so head on over to spaceboymusic.com and get you some cool stuff.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out! That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com. Dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Ever seen an extraterrestrial? It can be hard to believe they exist unless you've seen one for yourself. What if I told you I've seen them my whole life, but have never had a witness who shared the encounter with me? Now, what if I told you I saw 4 of them, 2 with blue skin, and there are over 20 witnesses to this CE5 event? My new book, The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, documents actual accounts from real witnesses, many of which have gone on record to attest to this otherworldly reality. Be a part of the quantum paradigm shift that is taking place right now. Go to johnpolkmedia.com to get your copy of The Blue Beings, Visitation at the UFO Conference, on sale right now at johnpolkmedia.com. That's JOHNPOLK media.com.
Kids, don't drink and park. Accidents cause people. This has been a PSA brought to you by your friends at Shift Happens and The Fringe FM.
Hey, it's Grace. Can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com. That's Nature's Youth.
Hi, this is Ryan Gable, host of the Secret Teachings radio show. If you are interested in ancient knowledge and hidden mysteries, as well as a unique and balanced perspective on conspiracies, symbols, and the occult, then join me every Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, It's Joe Rupe. We're live on the Fringe FM. Don't forget, tomorrow night, John DeSouza is going to be on the program, and we'll be speaking with Mike Vera on Spaced Out Saturday as well. So that's going to be a pretty cool show. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I did notice that there were some comments in the chat room about the advertisement, so I got to keep playing those things unless you guys are going to donate, you know, because they contribute, and I need the money to run it. So if you guys, like I said, if you find anything of value of the show, just, you know, donate if you can. If you can't, then just spread the word, and I really appreciate anything you can do. But we're back here with Jason Quitt, and we were talking about Lifeforce, and I just wanted to get back into that subject. Just one quick question. So about that, when you talk about draining your life force and stuff, is it possible that we can drain other people's life force? Like, say I'm a stronger spiritual person, or I'm stronger willed, and we can, you know, I guess I'm a jerk to somebody, or I make somebody obsess over something. Can we physically like drain other people's life force, or is it just something that we do personally?
Oh, you could definitely drain other people's life force. It's very easy. We do it all the time without knowing we're doing it, actually. And I'll give you a very quick example, because I think everybody's gone through this, is that you get a phone call from somebody who says, hey, you want to meet up for coffee? And you say, yeah, sure, I'll meet my friend for coffee. You go to the coffee place, you get there, and then you sit down, and the person or your friend will basically tell you all their life problems. And you're just listening to them complain for an hour or two. And then at the end of the conversation, which is very one-sided, your friend will say to you, man, I feel a whole lot better. Thank you for coming out with me. And then you feel like crap. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like in their conversation with you, they're pulling at your energy field, they're pulling at your energy, and they're getting a little charge up. And when they're done and they feel better, they're like, okay, see ya. So that's a very easy example of how people can pull your energy. And you'll find, and everybody knows a person that doesn't stop talking. It's like you can't even say a word to them. They can talk to you for hours, and you can't get a word in. And that type of a person is pulling your energy, is taking your energy.
I've got a few of those in my life, actually, and they always want to talk. They're not only, you know, can we talk? Can we talk? And the last time we talked, you talked to me. It wasn't a 15-minute conversation. At all. It turned into a 2-hour conversation, and 2 hours ago I was telling you that I need to go, you know, and you're right. The ones that complain and complain, it's like not only will they keep talking about it, and you got to keep getting ear raped, and that's a harsh term, but that's what it feels like. But they won't let you go either. It's like they try to lock onto you, and they're not listening to. You say, "Look, man, I've got to go." It's like they're locking. I don't even think they know they're doing it. I think you're right.
Yeah, it's very subconscious, and it comes from a place of woundedness in, you know, let's say their childhood. So, you know, it's very subconscious, and this is where you have to have a lot of compassion for these people. But that is just a simple example of how your energy is being pulled. And it has to do with your attention. Like I said before, where you put your attention, you put your life force. So be very, very careful where you want to put your attention. You know, so I don't have many teachings that I can tell people, but that's one of the main teachings that is so important for us to fully understand, because once you start to understand that your focus is where your life force goes, then if you start to focus with yourself and you become centered in yourself, you know, self-centered, being called self-centered.
Right.
But if you center your consciousness in yourself and you're focusing purely on yourself, let's say in a meditative state, then your life force goes into your body and you recharge yourself and you start to heal yourself. So where you put your focus is where you put your healing energy. And this is also a concept in Qigong, where if you have a wound or something's wrong, you would breathe energy into your body. And then once you have that connection to the breath and the life force is there and you can feel it, using your attention and your focus, you can move your life force to the injured part of your body and increase your healing ability. And that's the techniques that I used mostly to heal myself from my broken back. And that's the main thing I used, was the focused intention and the Qigong to focus the healing energy in the spot that was broken.
So did you learn did you learn that from the masters? I'm not talking about, I call them masters for some reason, these beings that help you out. I guess I call them that because I read in a book about, the true mystery schools were in the internal realms. I read that from Manly P. Hall. And I guess, do people really meet their masters? I've even heard that some Qigong masters talk about that. Like they meet their master or something, this guide, this one big, I guess you could say, guru in these astral realms. Is there any truth to that?
I've met many of those masters, and they come and go. So there's different masters for different parts of your life or different experiences. And they do teach you, and I would say that 90% of the things that I teach and that I use was taught on the other side by these masters. And then 10% was reinforced by physical teachers. So it's like, it's really good to have this kind of dynamic where you learn something over there, and then you come here and you have a physical teacher that's telling you the same thing. It just reinforces that type of energy.
I got a question from the chat room. Don wants to know if, so could Jason feel any of the attachments in the astral realm, or did they actually, these, I guess, entities or shamans that she's talking about, that was earlier when you were talking about all those attachments that you had on you. She's wanting to know, could you feel the attachments, or did the shamans actually have to tell you they were there?
No. It's, you feel them, but it takes time to get that feeling. Like I said, when I was doing the Qigong, it took about a year for me to develop that sense of feeling the energy. And once I started to develop this sense, when the entity or energy would attach, something would be off immediately. I would know immediately that something is wrong. And it goes back to even that story I told earlier, where we're all sitting at the restaurant in Tokyo, and all my friends, and we're all looking at each other, and we're like, something's wrong. We all felt the disturbance in the force. But you can definitely feel these things once you get energetically sensitive.
I had spoken to, I guess, a guy that told me, I can't really reveal his name, but he told me that he was a true student of alchemy, and in not the alchemy that everybody talks about today, and not even the alchemy that Carl Jung talked about with the symbolism. He said it wasn't true alchemy, and he told me that true alchemy was, and I'll never forget this because that's why I'm so into your work. He told me that true alchemy was growing our energetic body out of our, how did he explain it? Growing our energetic body out of our physical bodies. He said something like the soil of our physical body, so he could travel through light and live in the stars instead of living on planets and choose his incarnations. And that's what true alchemy was about. But it was a very dangerous practice, and they only accepted people that were ready, and it was still only verbally handed down. The books were just all misleading, even Jung's work. Do you find any truth about that or any substance to what I just said?
That is the truth. You just said the truth. But I've never experienced a physical teacher about that. But what you said is everything that's been taught on the other side. That's the goal, is to expand your awareness into the multidimensional space grow the bodies. So now you could have different bodies to enter different worlds. And basically you travel through light because you are light. And that's basically the whole point of, what I've been learning without any of these teachers. This is just being what's taught on the other side.
Wow, that's incredible. I get into big arguments about alchemy. I've even had I've known some puffers who got the whole kits and they bought the equipment and stuff and looks like a little lab room or whatever. Like, what are you doing? But there was apparently some truth to that, some smaller fundamental things that you could see in nature on a smaller scale that were also true on a macrocosmic scale, if that makes any sense. But it was all about how energy works with other things. And I'm just fascinated by it because I know it is not a spiritual thing. I really think it's a science. And I think the Egyptians understood that too.
Yeah, and it's all about mirroring. It's all about mastering the physical laws because, they say, in Hermetics, so above, so below. It's not just so above, so below. It's so within, so without. And if you could learn a physical law of, let's say, transmuting iron to gold, which is, the most famous example of this, you can learn how to transform your energy from iron to gold, or this golden consciousness. So you're learning this mirroring effect of the laws of the physical world are also the laws of the spiritual world. So it was that type of practice is a form of alchemy, but it's just using different teachings of how to learn about the laws of the physical universe to reflect the laws of the spiritual universe.
Wow. So this energy that you're talking about, which is what he was talking about too, that you need to learn how to give more energy so that you can receive the right energy. And he wouldn't go into it because I think he thought it was too complex for me to understand. But how do you?
I'll make it much simpler for you and your audience. Is that, and this goes back to Egyptian information. Basically, there is a constant flow of energy. It's unlimited. There's a constant flow of energy. The Egyptians called it the Ka. And it's unlimited conscious energy that flows through everything. It's like a stream. Now, the human being takes on that energy to survive. It's our life force energy. We take a small amount of it. But if we learn how to expand our awareness, expand our channels, we can take more of this life force energy. And it could be very, very dangerous to do this because energy is just energy. And if you have toxic things in your body, the energy will feed the toxic things just as they'll feed the light things. So when you get these healers that start to open up and they get very, very sick and die very young, it's because the energy will feed whatever you carry. So you have to kind of refine your energy, refine what you carry, and slowly open yourself up more to this stream of energy, this stream of consciousness, and then you start to expand yourself into these multidimensional states of awareness.
When you first started feeling this energy, what does it feel like? Is there any way to explain it?
Oh, yeah. It feels like fire. It feels like almost like a pressure or like you're standing under a waterfall, but it doesn't feel like water. It feels like it's almost like a solar energy. It feels like very hard to describe.
It's subtle, like, I bet. That's why it's hard to describe it. Well, it's subtle it would be for me, I assume.
There's definitely a force to it, and you can feel it going through the body, and sometimes it literally feels like a warmth or a fire, or like a viscous liquid that's very warm that starts to go through the body.
That's so cool. Because I know the stuff that you're talking about is true. Did you ever listen to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? I know that was channeled material, but it just seems like all of that is true, unless it was somebody just, secretly putting out, mystery schools or stuff. I don't know if you've ever read it or listened to it. Have you listened to it or read it before?
I never listened to it, but I did read it quite a while ago, so I don't actually remember much of it. But I do remember when I did read it, I would actually just get chills through my body. There's a lot of things that I read that just kind of shook me inside. And when I feel that kind of shaking, I know that it's like a ring of truth, that there's something very important or some information shifted my perception of reality.
Do you think that...
And
sorry, go ahead.
No, I remember one thing that, there's only one thing I remember from that whole thing, or from the whole Emerald Tablets, and it was saying something about, when you're out traveling through space, obviously in the astral body, when these things come at you to stop you from traveling, never go in straight lines, always move in spirals.
Yeah. He said when you hear the hounds, the bell cry of the hounds at the bay, and
yes.
I have read some stories about people hearing that I guess you could say it was like a ringing, a high pitched ringing in their ears when they were in the astral realms. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, it's very common.
Does that mean you're about to die? Because that's what I've always thought. Oh no, like you're about to slip out or something. Is that what he's talking about? I wonder.
I don't know. I really don't know, because I've heard them personally, but I've never experienced something bad happening, or I'll just wake up. But for some reason, that line has stuck with me all these years, and I don't know why that line in particular, out of everything in that book, stuck with me.
Yeah, that one stuck with me too. There's a lot of secrets, I think, that are buried in there. It's one of those things that you got to keep reading, and it's just got deeper and deeper metaphors in it. But, I ask certain guests about that because I believe that you would understand that, and part of it. But I also believe, Jason, and I'm just going to be honest with you because we only got a few minutes here left. Everybody knows that the people that listen to the show, they know I'm on a journey of truth. I'm not one of these show hosts that are like, well, I'm speaking all the truth. You better come here, and this is where you get the truth. That's not what this is about. I'm on the journey, and some of these people are taking it with me. But there's a lot of stuff out there, man, that I know isn't true. In the same places, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. In these, I just don't feel they're true. But it's people like you that make me reconsider. You understand? Because I know that you're doing real work. I know your integrity's on spot. I know that what you're doing is true because, I don't have any proof of it, but I just know it. I can feel it. And I hope that you keep this thing going for as long as you can.
I'm going to try. And trust me, I was very naive. I was very naive coming into this community because I just wanted to share what happened to me. There was no motives. It was just, I want to hear a cool story of what happened and what I learned from it. And I kind of got sucked in to this community and sucked into the UFO crowd. And now I'm doing all these conferences and putting up this information. And there's some very, very good people in this community, just like yourself. And then there's people that I've met in this community that are there for the wrong reasons. And, I can't really say anything and I can't name any names because that's not who I am.
Right.
But,
Look at that. Lost him again. Right when he was about to talk about the bad people. Got to call him back. Hold on just one second. That's crazy. Tell me that's not a coincidence. That's gotta be. Right when he was about to talk about the bad people in this field, boom, it goes out again. Come on, I'm not the guy that talks about when things go out on the internet or whatever, but that's just a little trippy to me. Are you there, Jason?
Are we still on?
Yeah, I lost you again.
Can you hear me? Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just end this very, very quickly, and I'll just say we just need to learn how to discern, and we really need to use our feelings and our guts, because there's a lot of great info out there and there's a lot of disinformation. And, we
we're
have to take
attacked,
the good with the bad.
I know that was an attack, man, for sure. But I appreciate you coming on the show. Well, the website's thecrystalsun.com. You got any events coming up or anything you want to talk about?
I'm going to be at Contact in the Desert coming up, and I'm also going to be at Soul Tech at the East City Ranch coming up in August.
Cool. Well, you guys go check out the website. It's a really good website. Go grab his books. I've got most of them myself. Jason, thank you for coming on the show. Hang out for just 1 second, but I really appreciate you coming on Lighting the Void. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, guys, tomorrow night, John DeSouza, we got to get out of here. If you're listening live on the Fringe FM, Spaced Out Radio is up next.